is the NGSW's new Optic platform? 250 hours of constant on, automatic shutoff. Everybody can be basically a DMR guy.
The Optic itself is going to help provide those calculations.
Will it trickle down to the commercial market? I'm pretty sure it will. Welcome back to Classic Firearms, guys. Jason here with Matt.
What's up, everybody?
Of course, we're about to dive into some history. Matt up top. Everybody loves it when we do this stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess the title of this video is, what is the NGSW's new Optic platform and why is it special?
So we talked about the rifle in a video not too long ago.
Yeah.
And what's really cool, we've touched on that, I think, in that video, was that it's not just a firearm, it's a weapons platform.
Right.
It's a package.
Right.
And so in order to accomplish the goals of being able to effectively reach out further and engage targets in body armors and behind cover and at a further distance, they also have a specific optic.
Right. So that's pretty cool, right? And first of all, the optic itself, we'll probably have like a picture of it. It's pretty dope. It really is. So you've got a built-in LRF, which is meaning laser rangefinder, and you also have the actual 1:8 optic that's provided by Vortex in there. So it does all of your ballistic calculations. It also has infrared and visible IR or visible laser as well, so you can actually, get up and spot. And then it boasts a whopping 250 hours of constant on with using 2 CR123 batteries, which we all know that is definitely not going to be it, but the optic can still be used even with the batteries depleted, at least as a point and shoot optic. Yeah. For sure. Still an LPVO at the end of the day.
So one thing I always find so fascinating is how technology has made batteries last for so long.
Right.
Like when you hear about, some of these like quality optics, right? When you think about like an aim point or something, and you're talking about like hundreds to thousands of kind of hours, right? Like that's phenomenal, because obviously the last thing you're going to want to do, especially with an optic that doesn't have capability to run as a just normal non-electric optic, is to run out of batteries in the middle of a mission.
Yeah, that would suck. I'm not gonna lie. For all the guys who know, EOTechs, for mainly one of them, you get about 500 hours of battery life, give or take, depending on heat. And then from there, it has automatic shutoff if you don't keep on pressing the buttons up and down. So, and then that clock restarts. So you could be on a patrol and hanging out, and all of a sudden that 8 hours clicks, and you get into a firefight, and your optic may be actually off, and then you have to manually turn it back on. So there is that, and I do get that, and it's grasped for a reason. But I guess we talk about capabilities, right? And especially with the new M7 now, they needed, more capabilities in just providing a newer round. So they had to accompany it with a better sighting system, right? So get into that. We're going, just like you said before, we actually learn from our wars of past. So.
Yeah, we're always reacting to the last conflict, right? So when we talk about things like the conflicts in Afghanistan and stuff, what we realized is that our current weapon system, basically the AR-15 based, platform, it lacked a lot of terminal ballistics at long distances, and it could fail to defeat things like body armor or cover, and so that's why we went to the M7, or the XM7, now the M7, the SIG Spear.
Yeah. So I guess it kind of bridged the gap, right? No longer are you having to worry about like, oh God, if I've got this huge engagement area or engagement zone inside of this AO, like how am I going to do this? Do I need to keep a Kestrel on me? Do I need to do that? And they've kind of dumbed it down for the common, I guess, infantrymen. So
and talking about kind of dumbing things down. So that's one of the great things, right? So when you talk about how having it having a ballistic computer, so it helps to do things like calculate drop.
Right.
It helps to calculate things like windage. It helps you. So, it's not that the soldier is less skilled per se, but some of those things that maybe before were a mental calculation or a memorization of a dope chart or things like that, the optic itself is going to help provide those calculations.
Absolutely.
And so what that does is it helps raise the floor for the average soldier, the average end user, because instead of having to be someone who is like a expert level kind of marksman who can memorize these dope charts or some carrying cheat sheets, it helps you to be able to say, hey, I'm going to hand this to someone who's come out of basic training and maybe doesn't have as much experience as another shooter or another soldier, and they can provide a higher level of service and performance with that firearm.
Right, and especially it basically comes down to you still need to keep basics, right? You still got to have that basic idea or fundamental of marksmanship and then apply that to it. And remember, these are all nothing but just force multipliers. And before we throw out any more big lingo, dope, right? People be like, what are you guys talking about? Dope? Like,
that's
it means data on previous engagements. So obviously you come up with a sheet. It's a lot of mathematics. Not really. It's not math. It's simple.
It is math.
It is math.
And we've talked about that in videos before, right? So like when I did a video on MOA versus radians.
Yep.
And so like, how do you adjust a scope? How do you take a scope that is zeroed for 100 yards and make the adjustments to shoot out to 400 yards? So like there's math involved there. Now, from an end user perspective, you don't necessarily always have to get into the math. You can start getting into memorizing, okay, well, how many clicks is it?
Right.
How do I adjust it?
Correct.
But again, it is math based.
Yeah.
But the great part about it is when this computer can help you with those calculations, then there's less of a human error element.
Right.
And again, then there's a faster learning curve. Let's
Right,
say.
absolutely. And like we said, force multiplier, right, is a great thing. So, hey, you're walking, you're going through an environment or engagement, you have multiple, folks that you've got to engage, and all of a sudden you see or know that you've got a person who's way far away, and you're like, God, I wonder how many yards that is or meters that is. You can literally get on that optic, press that button on the side, and it'll literally give you your firing solution and everything that you need to do. You can either hold and or dial exactly for what you need. So to me, that's great. It keeps the guesswork out of it, and it keeps the folks who can't carry the two,
Well, and that's
guessing.
Again, like you said, just the laser rangefinder, right? So I don't have to estimate. I don't have to guess. Okay, how far away is that target? Because if your estimation is short or over, then your adjustments are going to be off.
Correct.
And so this helps take the guesswork. It also consolidates kit.
Right.
In that, I don't have to have someone carrying a separate rangefinder because it's integrated into the optic. So instead of having to have, 4 different devices, it's all in one device.
And I feel like they've really turned now because, just like you said, you see a lot of more designated marksmen. You see a lot of more guys who sniper have like LRFs or laser rangefinders out, and now they've kind of given that to the common infantrymen. So now everybody can be basically a DMR guy, but have the capability, obviously, of close quarters battles within it. So I think that's a two in the bush for me. I'm just saying that seems like a win.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So when you are able to make your individual soldier that much more versatile, right? So we take what we would normally have considered under maybe previous battle doctrine, and you're like, all right, so we have our standard infantry regiment, and then we have certain specific
Specialties.
attached people who are, okay, so this is for long range, or this one is for, something helping to deny area while this other group moves. Well, now we don't have to specialize as much in that same group of soldiers. Well, you can have these guys say, okay, you're going to set up long range fire, and your system is capable of doing that, long range support. You can have the same people with the same platform get up close and engage in that close quarter firefight because it's not a specific alternative, slower to fire, designated marksmanship rifle. It's the same rifle.
Now, here's the greatest thing. Will it trickle down to the commercial market? I'm pretty sure it will. There are optics that already do that. You got like the Burris XT-RPS that actually has a built-in computer inside. So all you got to do is, get on your Bluetooth thing, put in your data. You can put in all your dope and you can dial for it. And I know Sig Sauer just came out with their kilo type of thing is built in together. So, I mean, eventually it will trickle down to just common optics. And next thing you know, everybody's going to be grabbing their rifles and be able to laser range find everything and get their dope in instant first round hit.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we definitely see super cool advancements in civilian optics. I think, when you were talking about SIG, I'm not sure if the name was the kilo, but I remember doing an interview where when you had the magnifier up.
Yeah. The AMR.
Yeah. When you engage the magnifier, it clicks a circuit and it can save 2 different settings for your red dot. So one is your magnified and one's your unmagnified, and it automatically will make that adjustment when you flip your magnifier over or take it down. And so we see similar, not necessarily the same kind of advancements in civilian available optics as we do in some of these military optics. And of course, Vortex has got a long history in the civilian market. You can't help but think that if they can, if there's not a government exclusivity to the technology.
Oh, there is.
Well, but for how long?
That's a good question.
Is it in every application or specific? So without some of this knowledge, but you can't help but think that maybe they could adopt some of these technologies into some of their civilian offerings as well.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And they've got the contract for 250,000 units. so far.
You're rearming the
whole military. So they've got that contract pretty locked down, and shout out to them for actually landing that. So even to be considered, you got to be, especially with any type of military contract, most of it has to be made here in the States. So that's a great thing. So you're getting something that's quality, something with a great name, and of course Vortex being very good on their glass, man. Can't lose in that one. So, guys, let us know what you thought about like the XM, which is now that M157 now, Vortex new optic for the NGSW program. I mean, you guys like when me and Matt dive into the stuff like that? We kind of nerd out, so it is what it is.
Also, what do you think about the reliance on force multipliers in the military in general? Like, I think that's an interesting question because as we get into more complex weapon systems, there's a possibility of failure in different ways.
Correct.
Like we talked about, like batteries dying or just an EMP pulse that fries electrical circuits.
And then that laser rangefinder is going to work out so well.
Yeah. and so like, again, should the military be basing tactical doctrine and training on these devices that could fail versus, kind of old-fashioned iron and
Well, the Marines, they qualify at 500 with irons.
Yeah.
But I do know the Marines also use a 32% larger target too. But hey, I hear you.
Just a little shade. Just a little shade.
Just a little bit. But guys, of course, we appreciate that. Of course.
Something new every time you visit. Don't forget to check out the other channels. We've got the podcast channel. We've got the shorts channel. We've got Outside the Warehouse. If you're into cool, weird,
Zany
funny times here.
Someone's Kaya's father? That's weird. Anyway,
Yeah,
guys.
not touching that one.
Anyway, guys, we appreciate your business.
God bless.
And we'll see you guys later.